Do you hear that? Do you hear that? Hola community! Welcome to the beginning of the end. It's not really the end. 2.93, Blender 2.93, the very last release of the 2.x series, which started in the early 2000s. It's out. It's out there. You can download it. You can watch. Did you have time? If you're watching this live right now, did you have the time to see the 3 simultaneous videos we published? The incredible video with the reel of all the great stuff, with the music, with the epic music by Francesco City, the editing, a splash walkthrough, like opening the blend file, download the blend file of the new release, and then just getting the author to say, hey, you should click here, you should click there. What else? Another video by Southern Shorty with all the features in less than 5 minutes or so, a little bit, maybe a bit more than. We just finished watching. It's just insane. Go to blender.org if you don't know what we're talking about. Well, Blender 2.93 LTS is here, and really, let me tell you, we never had this much content on a release before. We never had the 3 videos simultaneous, all the demo files, all of the artwork, all of everything. What a way to close the release. Let's go, let's navigate a little bit. If you haven't downloaded it already, go to download section, click and download. If you're on a Mac with Apple Silicon with the M1, there is also that version is available, and then source code Blender Plus, the libraries, is also available, which it wasn't available before. It includes all the source code for everything. It's in line with the blog post in the code blog about the Blender open source licenses and the new higher standards required by third parties to distribute Blender. So this release has it all, everything. Look at, it's just crazy. Windows Store should be updated. Steam and Snap Store also should be updated. But you know what? You should go and check out the page that it's the end of an era. When I was making this page, I wrote the first thing I wrote is the end of an era. And it was a bit maybe a bit depressing, you know, but then this morning I added the beginning of something huge, because it is the beginning of something huge. 20 years in the making, paving the way for the next generation open source 3D creation pipeline. 1 video, 2 videos, and the other one over there. Look at this amazing artwork that it welcomes you. It's cozy, super cozy, by Felipe del Rio. All the links are in the bottom of this page if you want to know the artists that work here on this. The blend file for this is available as well. If you go to the download section, to the demo files, I don't know if you've gone there already. Look, cycles, and then grease pencil, geometry nodes, procedural buildings. The community, it's so amazing that you should say, hey, what you just done, it's amazing. Can you, it's great. Can you share the file so everybody can see how you did it? And they just go ahead and give you the files to share it. Does it happen in other communities? I don't know. I'm super proud of the Blender community. So cheers, prost. I have some apple juice here, so I'm super tired. It's been a lot of work to have this out, but you know what? It's deserve it. Do more. 22 new nodes. Say hi. Look at the family. 22 new nodes are now part of geometry nodes. There is graphics here. Only a few. I didn't know how to show all of them, so it was I grabbed a few. Attribute proximity, sample texture with the video. Do you recognize what video is it playing over here? Do you not recognize the Open Movie project? Well, just showing the crazy new editor, the spreadsheet editor going wild with all the numbers. Then volume to mesh. This is just a demo I wanted to show how to convert from a volume like from a geometry into volume points and then back into voxels. It's crazy what Blender 2.93 has. Like, I was going through this list, and I mean, we every Monday we get together to see what's new, but you forget. I thought like, if it didn't get so many updates, but we're gonna see them now in a bit. Primitives, the primitive elements, objects, geometry, meshes are now available in geometry nodes, so you can really go nuts here. A bunch of nodes that I just needed to add a list. Just go here, you find out. So you click on them and you're gonna be taken to the documentation. We're trying to give it more visibility to the manual, you know, like to read more and not just the commit. Sometimes it goes to the commit when the manual maybe it's not so complete, but also to give credit to the developers that work on it. But yeah, look at this. Isn't the cutest building ever? The file is here. Download it and play. It's just so cool. It's just so cool. Wow. Pops, is that you've been up since yesterday evening? Ah, okay, not just waiting for the release. Okay, that's cool. Thank you, Finn, for the nice words about the page. Improved user experience. Can you believe in 2.92? If you're using 2.92, there is absolute zero excuses to not jump into 2.93 because everything should just work the same, but so much better. 2.92 didn't even have multi-input sockets. It didn't have search for attributes. You had to type it manually. Then also, if there was an error, you wouldn't know. There was no indicator anywhere that that the attribute couldn't be found, for example. So 2.93, it's just night and day in terms of functionalities for the node. The graphics, graphics because of Eevee, but the geometry nodes part as well. The spreadsheet, you didn't. How would you know the exact values of anything? It was 2.92. I mean, I'm rousing 2.92, but it's a bit of like working in the blinded, you know, like there is no way to know the exact values of stuff, so there was no spreadsheet. You couldn't search, so yeah, it was a bit green, we say, like it wasn't there yet. The splash screen file is available, so here's the third video that I wasn't mentioning. Download the blend file and watch the walkthrough. So here you can click to download. It should take you to the cloud where you can download it for free. It's available for everybody. You don't need to be logged in or anything. It's on the Blender cloud, hosted there so it's easier to distribute, but it's not under any kind of paywall. There, splash, blend, walkthrough by the man himself. So yeah, you get the author just explaining how things are done. Isn't that great? That's super cool. Then you can download the splash again. Sculpt, the Sculpt expand was part of this release as well. Completely forgot about it. Completely forgot about it. The loops, these videos by Julian Kasper are amazing with the little horns. In like how easy is to do that? How would you do that before? Like, you have to sculpt every little piece, every crease manually. It's just not fair. It's just almost cheating. Look at the textures in masks. That also wasn't even possible before. Like, no, manually you couldn't do it. You have to sculpt with a texture. Now you can have a mask as a texture, so you can paint in and out, and you can even draw shapes and then move them around with, like, you have to read a little bit of the manual or just expand the view. Here in the status bar you're gonna find all the settings, but it's a bit too much to fit in the screen on a small screen. So yeah, better check the manual for that. Masks out of the box, you can now initiate masks with a command. So they are built from the loose parts of the geometry. So if you have a bunch of islands, like strands of hair, or the eyes separate from the body, for example, or also by face sets. So if you had a bunch of face sets, now you can make a mask from there, and it's gonna make it's gonna convert like the value, the color of the face set into a mask, so it will have different influence. It's yeah, it's crazy. Switch it up. What is that? You can switch objects while you're sculpting. So when you have a file that is super complex, like you know, sometimes you hear people saying that you can't really sculpt millions and millions of vertices in Blender, and yeah, if they're all in one object, it's really not optimized for that yet. It will come eventually, but for sure. But the more like efficient way to work is to split that into smaller objects. So you have, instead of 96 million vertices, you can have like 1-2 million vertices per object. But so that was already possible. There's nothing new in there. Now there is a shortcut that you can press to switch between objects. That would make it so it feels like you're still in the same sculpting session, but you're actually switching objects. So you end up with a more efficient workflow, and you can fit more vertices in your screen. So yeah, it's not a performance improvement per se, but it's a workflow to work a bit smarter. But yeah, hold the line. Hold the line. Dun, dun. Oh, I'm gonna get the I'm gonna get my video demonetized, even though we don't monetize the videos. Hold the line art. Look at the amazing airplane that Yiming Wu made. You can download this file as well. It's in the crazy huge Grease Pencil library. Have you seen this library? It's super packed with content on Grease Pencil. Some of them are more like artwork, more like painterly. Some of them are more animation focused. Yeah, it's just crazy that all of this is available, and all of these artists agreed to just release their art. They are awesome. So proud of this community. What else? Well, line art. This is something I added like this morning, like actually this afternoon, while we were waiting, and I think it's a nice to highlight some artwork from the community, but more directly, you know, give them actually. I didn't have time to ask permission from them, otherwise I would have added the images, but I just was like, okay, if their tweets are public, so what if I just highlight them, and then people can follow them right away, and they can see what's going on here right away as well, because there is I mean, the plane shows more or less what you can do with it, but the actually this type of artwork is pretty popular. People do this kind of artwork all the time, so if maybe it's more clear what you can do with line art if you see this instead of the plane. So yeah, super great to have this. And then I found this one, which is super fun. And the last one, actually this is from back on March, I think. This was like the next day where line art was added. It's so nice to see the usage here in a more of a like architecture, but also stylized. You can see the final result and the one without the lines, how much it changes everywhere, everything. It is so great, so great. Download Grease Pencil demo files. They are available on every section. I try to link either to documentation or to the demo files. Interpolation, the interpolate tool, well, it was an operator in 2.92, and then it was remade into a tool. So it means that it can have widgets, it can have like a redo panel, and that is a bit more visible, and the settings before you run the tool, so you can tweak it beforehand. Before in 292 you had to execute the operator and then tweak it, so this makes it a bit more flexible, a lot more flexible, and it's also faster. Grease Pencil import and export. Did you know that if you are a crazy I don't know, you like to share your work in PDF. You can now. You can export as PDF. And if you do vector graphics in another software like Inkscape or Adobe Illustrator or Corel, is Corel still around? If it is, then you can take your SVG files from Blender, export the grease pencil as SVG, and then import them back. It's crazy. Can I do my taxes in Blender? We should try. I wouldn't say no. What a feeling. What a feel. Okay, how are the puns? Is it getting too much, too punny? I'm adding too many puns. Stroke extension is a feature that allows you to, on the fly, before you press fill, like use the fill tool to fill, to add color to a section, for example, you can, on the fly with the scroll wheel, measure, like extend the strokes. So even if the entire shape is not closed entirely, you can extend temporarily the strokes and it will close it for you. Also, multi-frame works for you. Let Blender do the work. You can now fill multiple similar frames with just one click. There you go. Now, how many years of your life are gonna save you if you were using the fill tool? Now you don't have to do it every frame manually. You can just click once, and it's also faster. They made it like I don't know how much faster, but it was quite. I remember when it was added. Yeah, quite much faster. More grease pencil. There is better workflow with AutoKey. A different workflow actually. So you should read the documentation for more details. But basically, it's a change for the best. If you add AutoKey on in Blender 2.92 and you're animating, you change frame, you're animating again, it will automatically create a new keyframe, just like it always like AutoKey always works. However, sometimes it happens that for 2D animation, especially if you're not in the exact frame, it will make a new keyframe, of course, and then it can be a bit not so great for some workflows. So now the way it works is that even if you have auto keyframe, when you paint or draw or make tweaks, it's gonna affect the keyframe before that. So it's gonna be try and be smarter, like you're trying to make a new like edit the previous keyframes instead of making a whole new keyframe. Look at the artwork. This was a second good candidate for the splash screen of 2.93. Actually, this one got recommended a lot, and we ended up going with the other one because it was also great, and it's more like a landscape. So I think it works pretty well. More than meets the eye. Okay, continue with the puns. Volumetrics, they are like, this is a section that I was more surprised by it, because I thought, like, I mean, I know Eevee got improved and everything, but because people are asking for Vulkan support so often, all the time, that I have to say, yeah, it's not there yet, it's not there yet. So I feel like whenever people ask me that, it's like, okay, no, sorry, it's not there yet. Like, no work is being done in Eevee. But after reading these updates, it's just crazy. And also making this video with the before and after, I was using this file that Aries Snail provided. I asked for on Twitter and was super nice with giving the file away. So yeah, it's night and day. Like, it even looks like there are artifacts in 2.92. It's the same file, 2.92. You can actually see here at the bottom. There is the version, but it's just, yeah. You can also see the volumes. How in the past the 2.92 makes it so even area lights, they're all like point lamps. It doesn't care. It's just like, yeah, oh, you're an area light with a square shape. I don't care. You're gonna be a point lamp. Not in 2.93. If you have a square, a rectangular area light is gonna be interpreted as such when inside of a volume. That is super great. And also this, even influencers control how much they diffuse, the specular and volume component. This is also something I added like in the afternoon while we were waiting for the mirrors, because it's just too great not to include it. It's just so much flexibility. This is kind of like the poor man's light linking, if you want. If you have if you want to have that object or like a light only affecting the specific layer, for example, or just only the specular, or only the volume, kind of a replacement for the time being. The new depth of field. Oh, field. Typo. Okay, I'm not gonna fix it now, but I'm gonna fix it now. The new depth of field handles close-ups and outlines much better, and that's an understatement. It's like it's night and day. And let me find the line of here, Eevee. Okay, D, add the D and refresh, and voila, there, depth of field handles close-ups and outlines much better. Yeah, look, it's like a joke. It's almost like a joke. Here, pay attention around the edges of the pan here, and also of the pot here, and also the close-up part. It's like the bokeh couldn't go so like much bigger than that, and also in the borders, the outlines, it wasn't super great. And now, sadan, suddenly Eevee is not eating your geometry away anymore. And also look at the highlights down here, just super great. And here on the wall, but I don't know why I'm like showing you this, because you can see it online. But yeah, you lose these lights, but that's because of these were wrong. Actually, these highlights were wrong. And also some of the changes in the lighting, that's due to the new volumetrics and how lights work inside volumetrics, so don't pay too much attention to that. It's more about the depth of field, that is night and day. You may want to re-render all your projects, because Eevee is just beautiful now. It was beautiful, but look at the shadows. I mean, this looks great, but no, not if your goal was not to make water. Like you can achieve this in the new Blender if you just disable shadows. But what if you wanted shadows? Well, no luck until now. It's just great. It's just like, yeah, it just works. TM. Where's the link to this? Oh yeah, here. Let me share you the link. It's on blender.org. Just blender.org, click on the first thing you see, the header, and it will take you there. It's it's almost like a joke. It was like, how can people use Blender before 2.93? It's just amazing. Depth of field, and there is even more. Less flicker, ambient occlusion, variable distance. There is a setting in ambient occlusion. I didn't add a render here, a setting, because there is already so much, but there is a value, an input for the distance, so you can assign like anything to the distance of the ambient occlusion. So should I do it? No, I shouldn't do it, otherwise the video is gonna be too long. But add an ambient occlusion. Okay. okay, let's just do it. It's just easier to show it. Ambient occlusion here, distance. There's this value as well, and you can control the fall off. You can pass anything there, and it's gonna be a value that you can change, you can control, you can add color ramps, you can, well, anything. Inverted and distance parameters. So if you shovel there anything, well, first let me show how it was in 2.92. The ancient 2.92. This is impossible to use. It's not so impossible, but ambient occlusion. There. What is the main difference? It is that it allows you that it looks similar, but now it allows you to have inverted here. This adds an approximation of inverted ambient occlusion by reversing the max horizon search, becoming a minimum horizon. Interesting. The limitation of this technique is that it still screen space. Hey, it's not too bad. This is more problematic in the case of inverted ambient occlusion than for normals. So support for the distance parameter was easy thanks to the recent AO refactor. So yeah, super okay. Persistence is key. What is persistence is key? Persistent data. There are some numbers going around, but I don't have the exact numbers. I tried to get some from the community, but it changes for all the renders that you do. But basically, you know, on cycles, when you press render or F12, that it takes a while to start building the scene, especially if you have a lot of geometry. So there's like BBH building. It says, well, it says BBH building. Okay. In 2.93, the first time you render, it's just gonna take the time. It's gonna be BBH building, whatever. But the next time you render, or if you're rendering an animation and not a lot of geometry is changing, so if you have an environment or a mountains or anything, all the data will stay in memory. So that means faster rendering. It doesn't have to build the BBH again afterwards. So that's why it's hard to measure, because it depends on the scene a lot. If you have a lot of geometry that doesn't move, it's not transformed, then the increase is going to be huge. But if you have, I don't know, a shape key on the mountains in the background and they change on every frame, then the VBH, the geometry, everything has to be recalculated. So it's not going to be that much of a speed up. So yeah, the more complex the scene, and if it doesn't move, doesn't transform, the better for re-rendering or for animation. So first frame is going to take a while, the other frames is not. So yeah, maybe calculating render times. If you said, okay, this frame takes 1 hour and I have to render 21 second, 24 frames, okay, it's going to take a day. But now not anymore, because the second frame is gonna be much faster. So nice. Look at this chair. You know what is this? It's the new setting and cycles that allows you to change the angle, the spread of the shadows of the lights in the area lights. It's super great. So allows you to control how sharp basically the cone, the shape of the area light is going to be. In this case, this is 1, so no spread. 22, as soon as you go up just a little bit, it's going to make a huge difference. But look at this shadow. It's like, so I love this when it becomes so weird and it becomes like another shape, like still a chair, but it's something else. Then 45 degrees already changed a lot. 90 is like almost invisible, and then 180 it's like yeah, it's like gone. It's like a cloudy day, like a very cloudy day, but it's so cool. This sharp, this is gonna be used so much. It's almost like a sun lamp, but with this shape, because look how even the halo here around it, it's also it looks also like it's softer. I don't know, it's just so cool, so cool. Then where am I? Why am I jumping so much ahead? Oh, because I zoomed in. I was in cycles here, looking sharp. Oh yeah, looking very sharp, because spoiler, well, spoiler, the website is public. Nicer subsurface scattering. That means less noise. Here I wanted to make a pun about nicer nice. It just didn't work, so I just say nicer. But you can read here in the description that this is before, like this is the amount of noise that you would have before, and this is right now. So maybe it's a bit hard to see it in the video on YouTube, but if you go to the website, it's a bit more clear. And also check out the darker sides of the image for spotting the noise. So less noise, basically faster rendering in a way, because you have to stop the render, or you would stop the render before you're happy before. So yeah. So what else? So what also makes a render faster? It's when it starts to look good with less render time. Well, thanks to an upgrade in the library of Open Image Denoise, the Intel Open Image Denoise. I should add Intel here because to be nice, to be noise, because that's the name of the library. So Intel Open Image Denoise update. I'm updating the site. If you find any typos or anything, also just mention it here. I'm updating it live. So yeah, it has been upgraded from 1.2 to 1.3, which if you read the logs of the Intel Open Image Denoise library, it doesn't have the Intel here, but I'm gonna have the, but I leave the Intel in. The denoising is much better. The noise quality is much better. Improved sharpness of fine details and less blurriness. Fewer artifacts and bunch more. Improved performance and lowered the memory consumption. So less RAM. That's always good. Less RAM hungry stuff. Some people are asking also, like, why is it 1.3 and why is it not 1.4? Because there is actually 1.4 that was released like 2 weeks ago. Yeah, no. Even though 1.4 is even it's gonna be even sharper, it's super recent. It's like 15 days ago. So 2.93, as you may know, the focus is to have the most stable releases there can be. If a release happened like 2 weeks ago, there's still a chance that it could be like a point release ever, right? So it could be maybe if the library, it's because Blender is an LTS release, it's gonna get updates for 2 years. Maybe it's a good candidate to get it if it doesn't require too many changes inside of Blender to support the new library. But yeah, maybe it could be still in development. The thing is, yeah, there's people distributing Blender like a 2.93 even before today, and yeah, it's not so great because it's not stable until it's out for real. And also, or people that include libraries like as soon as they get released. You should always wait for like a 0.1 release, or just at least give it enough time. Look at the 1.2 actually got plenty of point releases, fixing. 1.3 was pretty stable from February, but 1.4 not so much. Well, it just came out. So what else? More cycles. OpenColor IO has been upgraded. Yes, the library OpenColor IO. You can read more here about what does it mean. But yeah, newer libraries is always welcome. This geometry nodes access to attributes. I think this one deserves a section as well, but it was already getting too long. But basically, cycles can read geometry nodes attributes. So whatever attribute you make, create, tweak, anything, and you can access from geometry nodes is also available in cycles. Not in Eevee yet, but in cycles. And lastly, the fast GI approximation panel, where you can tweak a few settings. It used to be in the simplify panel in 2.92. It's now part of the fast GI approximation. So it's a bit more accessible. Some people, because it's not really simplify, it's like a cheap global illumination. So yeah. I think that's it. Hold on to this one. Hold on tight. Blender 2.93 is gonna be updated for 2 years. So 2023. 2023, that's so far away. And remember that 2.83 is also an LTS. It's been getting updates for already 1 year. It's got 15 updates so far, and there are more to come. Less often, of course, because there is less things to fix. But also 2.93 is an LTS if you only use LTS, because you are serious working on a project that can't risk anything. Okay, maybe I would recommend you to, if you have a studio with 100 people using, or you really have a short film that cannot afford to mess up anything, first back up your files just in case. Update to 2.93, I would say yes, but if you want to be extra sure, just wait for maybe some weeks, not too long, depending on how much people report, but there will be point releases of 2.93. So if you really want to use it before jumping into 3.0 and start a project, start it with Blender 2.93. If you're already working on a project, maybe wait until 2.93.1, 0.2 to update, and probably 0.1 is already gonna be super stable. This release, as I mentioned before, it's a must for people doing grease pencil, for the interpolation tools and fill tools, Eevee for anybody doing any kind of volumetrics or depth of field. So yeah, everybody. If you're using cycles, well, it's now much faster, so you should update. If you do geometry nodes stuff, procedural stuff, then yes, now there are attributes, there's search for attributes, there is a new spreadsheet editor. Yeah, there is quite some, and I couldn't fit everything in, so you're gonna see that in the sequencer, the video sequence editor is now much faster when building proxies. That's another reason. If you're doing video editing with Blender for whatever reason, 2.93 it's a must to update. If you do animation as well, cache library overrides. This is also quite big. Library overrides now have their own section in the outliner where you can find them all in one place. If you're doing any kind of production where you use linked libraries, also a must. I don't know, if 2.93 touches every corner of everything. Then multi-threaded export, yeah, this also should speed up much rendering so much more. In Corel you get 1x, but in the barbershop where there's a bunch of small objects, yeah, there is 5.2x in that file with cycles. So I would say, if you do any rendering, either Eevee or cycles, this is an app, is a must. You should probably update. Yes. Read the full list at the wiki. Yeah, the wiki has everything. When we build this page, it's like the bigger things. But if you really want to see absolutely every change, you go here and you read it. You read everything. If you're using Windows 7. 2.93 is not available for Windows 7. We mentioned here that Microsoft discontinued more than a year ago Windows 7. There is no more support. So yeah, gotta update to either Windows 8.1, Windows 10, or Linux. Yes. And I say upgrade. Wink, wink. It's just great. Here, look at the list of developers that contributed to 2.93. Thank you, Dalai, for updating this page today as well, and everybody that contributed: Erin Dale, Felipe, Julian, Yiming, Tuatea Smith, Arias Snell, Johnny Mercado, Clement Foucault, Juan G. Rodriguez, Francesco City, Southern Shorty for the features video, Bram, James, Jorun, everybody from the team, from the live, from the Blender Studio, Blender Institute, Blender community. Thanks to you for reporting issues, for making Blender more stable. Thank you for contributing to the Blender Development Fund and helping paying the developers that are actually working on it. Thank you for making content and artwork that inspires other developers and artists to join in and have fun with the Blender project. Thank you for making tutorials. Thank you for making add-ons that extend Blender to things that are not even, like, you can't even think. Thank you for making communities, for making videos like this with updates, for building communities in other languages so we can reach more people that maybe are missing out on these videos because my English is not so great or because I don't speak English. So thanks everyone. It's just this release is like we can jump into 3.0 now with a really good foundation. It's just amazing. Huh. How's everybody doing in the chat? How's let's share here the chat a little bit. So Linux, Windows, come on, Linux, Windows, all the same. It's not the same. Computers suck. You're gonna have issues on Windows, on Mac, on Windows, on Linux, everywhere. So it's okay. Then what else? Love from India. No questions today. I can answer some. Anybody made the thread? Where are my Linux boys? So cool. Sape. Did you see the cap? Well, we'll continue to make more more tutorials. Yes, everybody making tutorials. Please go ahead and update it. I'll update all of that. You're over Pablo a moment. No, I wasn't over. I'm almost over, but can you show us how the mask operators for that procedural stripe selection works? There is a, if you click on there must be a link here how to mask expand. Oh no, there's no read more link, but in the wiki, I forgot to add that one, but in the wiki you're gonna find them. The link at the very bottom of this page where it says read full of changes, the list full of changes, and here go to sculpt, go to the expand operator, and here you're gonna find the actual commit by Pablo de Barro, like by the developer, with all the keys. This is not a replacement for the manual. You should also check the manual. I'm gonna link to it. Sorry, I didn't. I forgot. But you can also, when using it in the status bar, you're gonna find the list of keys that you can press. However, the list can get pretty long, so yeah, you can check it out here. Did anybody made any? Oh geez, Blender community. That's another big release that is coming up soon, next week, the week after. But yeah, okay, let's see. Finn, thank you for making the thread. There's only a few questions. Let's try and answer some of them. Okay, this one is huge. Let's start from the first one. What are the future plans for texture painting tools? Are there, at their current state, they are very outdated and limited? You can only do very basic stuff. Yes, we all know that. There are plans to update the painting tools, but it's part of a bigger plan of upgrading the entire mode system in Blender. Vertex paint, unifying like vertex paint with attribute painting in Blender 2.92 with the added geometry nodes, and 2.93 even more. There is a need to edit those attributes in a more visual way, so a kind of attribute painting mode is needed, and as part of that, the entire system for painting, for brush management is bigger. It's not just fixing the texture painting tools, but it's more like there are big plans, not only for texture painting, but painting in general in Blender. So yes, there is work, but to be done. There's a lot of work to be done, but it's an overhaul, but a huge one. Hey Pablo, I hope you're well. I hope you too. I'm a bit tired. I've been It's been a long day. It's 8:30 here, even though it's daylight. It's 8:30 p.m. The roadmaps for and the future plans announcements we've been getting and having great, but I've noticed that there aren't a lot of roadmaps for specific modules. Most of the module roadmaps stop at 2.93 and a lot still stop at 2.92. Is this a deliberate thing to wait for development in code to complete, or have modules should not hang around for updating? No, they just not being updated yet. Basically, I think that is up to that's up to every module. You can maybe remind people. You can drop by in Blender chat. There is a module for a channel for each module. Maybe you can drop by, ask about that, or even offer yourself as help to update the roadmap, if any. But I would say that because of 3.0, there is there is a bit more uncertainty in terms of how much is gonna be. It can fit on a roadmap because 3.0, the chance to change things a bit. Okay. I remember there are a few things of a coming blog post about Eevee. Yes, that's true. It got delayed. Well, many things happened. There was a few other blogs in the code blog post in the code blog that had to be updated before, and with the release, the release really takes over everything we do, but at least especially on my side and communication side of things, the release is everything, and I think it paid off. I think it's the best release we ever done, and I know Apple says that with their devices. Every company says that with their devices. Our best release yet, but it is this time. All the demo files, the 3 videos with the walkthrough, splash, the features, the real 2.93. It's big. Hey Pablo, much love from Greece. Hey, Stiniyamas. I think, right? That is cheers. Will Blender give architecture some love? I know there are some add-ons that help, but it's still not being perfect for architecture. Cut sections, plan drawings, print scales, precision modeling, export CAD files or SVG files to make floor plans, and so much more could be added to Blender. Well, some of them, export CAD files, I'm not sure how that even works. CAD is a proprietary file format, I believe. SVG, though, they can be exported now in 2.93. Blender by itself is really not meant for that, but thankfully there are many community add-ons that extend that. Precision modeling, I would say it deserves its own mode even. Like now we're talking about restructuring modes. I think precision modeling, it's definitely its own mode. But yeah, I don't think add-ons are a bad way of extending Blender for very specific tools, workflow like this. Gotta be careful, right? When you focus too much in architecture, maybe you're making some other areas harder to use. But I think the basic features, having a bit more precision on modeling, is not only for architecture, but also any other kind of 3D making will benefit from that. So that is definitely I go to like that's a feature that should be in. But yeah, no, I don't know if there's any plans in the time being. I think Geometry Nodes is gonna address some of that because of the procedural modeling plans that are coming, and with all the updates that happened in 2.93 with primitives and such. But yeah, more to come. Geometry Nodes, I would say, is the answer to that. Finn, hi Pablo, just want to ask when and what to do if a patch is blocked and nothing happens for a while. I don't want to annoy any dev with unimportant patches like this. Update camera presets. Is this from March? I'm not sure what the purpose is adding the crop factor. Well, if all the answers looks good to me now, we can commit if the motion tracker module agrees as well. Well, I mean, you say you're not like you don't want to bother people, but this update is from March, and someone from the module, Sean Kennedy, already said yes. So I don't think it's very annoying. I wouldn't consider annoying just to ask for an update in here. But even before leaving a comment here, maybe drop by the chat. Go to Blender chat, to the here Blender coders on Blender chat, and ask around over there. I don't know if there is a module channel, but you should ask there. It's first in the chat, maybe someone can reply, and if nobody replies, then leave a comment. It's from March. It's not really, it's not like last week and then you're asking constantly, so it's okay. Don't feel bad. And the last okay, is it to me? Show the sensor size option in the camera not working. I don't know, but you should report, as even if you think it, if you open 292 and it works and 2.93 doesn't, please report. Or first test in 3.0. Okay. The last question. First of all, thanks for 2.93. It's awesome, and I'm gonna have to give props to whoever made the release notes. The website and everything feel way better than anything I've seen. It's simply a work of art. Well, it's a team effort. The artwork by the community, the videos by also people from the community. Yeah, it's a community effort. It's Blender. That includes the developers, the artists, everyone. So this is something I wanted to ask. That Blender really slows down and gets sluggish and crashes when there are millions and millions of particles in the viewport. No wonder. Blender handles high poly meshes pretty well as long as they are static, but particles from fluid granular simulations and smoke simulations made in Blender are imported from other software. Well, but they're not imported as particles, right? When you bring them from other software, they are meshes. Blender is very cumbersome. This is a huge limiting factor for people coming from other software. To be honest, this makes large scale. Yes, it's impossible. I love Blender, it's amazing, but and the core developers are aware of that. Yes, yes. Rest assured that the developers really know and are aware of the problems in performance. The community reminds them very often, and it's important. It's very important. The first step in performance in cycles is being improved a lot already in 2.93, and with Cycles X is gonna be even more. Then I don't know if you read, but recently it was announced the mesh editing optimization project with 3 developers working on mesh editing optimizations. Then after this is done, there will be more areas to tackle, but yes, rest assured, the developers are aware. There's effort going on in there, but I don't know if you're familiar with development itself, but it's yeah, it's hard to work in optimizations. It's not so easy. You need to know the code, so there's not a lot of people that actually can do it, and they're sometimes all like busy with other parts, just as fixing Blender. There are some bugs in Blender that not everybody can fix. It's community effort again. All right, I am done. Dyna B says I will stay in 2.92. Well, you're lost. You're gonna miss out in so much. You're gonna miss out in so much. Windows 7 forever. Ah, you have Windows 7. Are you aware that Windows is not giving any kind of support? No security updates, which are really needed on Windows. So you are at risk with that. So yes, I mean, updating Blender is quite a big incentive, I would say, if you're really a Blender user. But yeah, my 2.93 is not downloading. What do you mean it's not downloading? What do you mean it's not downloading? blender.org. Well, maybe there's a lot of people downloading right now, but let's test. So Linux, click, and updates just fine. If it doesn't update, you can also go to download.blender.org/release and get it from there, but it's gonna be slow. This server is limited in how much people can download at the same time. It's not a mirror, so yeah, there you go. Cool. What does Blender is over mean? Well, Blender 2 is over. That's what it means, that the Blender 2.x series is over. It's gone. 2.93 is the last release with the 2 at the beginning. The next Blender release, major release, is gonna be 3.0. Blender 3.0. Due for fourth quarter, like at the end of the year. Sometimes at the end of the year. The initial plan was to have it in August, but it might get delayed a bit in order to accommodate more updates, because it's a big deal. It's 20 years. Blender 2.0, or the first versions of 2.0, it was released at the beginning of the 2000s. Like 2000s. Like MTV was still playing music back then. Eminem was big. Backstreet Boys, Britney Spears, PlayStation 2 was getting out. Like just think about how long ago. Like Windows Millennial was a thing. MSN, ICQ, Mule, DC++. Yeah, that's a long time ago. That was 2.0. So 3.0 is gonna be hopefully big enough to make a splash, but not too big enough to, like, everybody using 2.93 is gonna be able to use it right away. It's not gonna be a big jump like 2.79 to 2.80. Don't worry, you don't have to relearn the entire software. It's just it's a good moment to give, you know, you're gonna have an asset browser for once, so no need to relearn everything, just a few little bits. All right, cool. I think I'm over for today. Let's meet again next week. I was so busy with the release that I didn't even read what's new in Blender, but I heard great things, geometry nodes, and a bit more all over the place. So stay tuned. Yeah, not same time, 5 p.m. Central European time, or the usual time of every Monday. Next Monday, June 7. Wow, June it's already the half of the year. Thanks everyone for tuning in 5, 4, 3, 2, and 1. I'm gonna fill your ear holes with the epic Street Fighter 2 Gil's theme. Gille or Gil? I don't know. I always say it wrong. I hope you're having a great day. Download Blender, and you know how you can help sharing the release video, the real video. Just share it around, see what other people have to say about it, and your friends and family that want to get into 3D or 2D. Why not? Spread the word, spread the love, blend away. See you next week for another episode of BlenderToday Live. Ciao.